Welcome to LCCAP Legacy, Decades of Dedication, the podcast that celebrates the incredible individuals who have shaped the heart and soul of the Lawrence County Community Action Partnership.
Each episode, we'll dive deep into the stories of those who have devoted their careers to making a difference, not just in our organization, but in the lives of the people we serve every day.
We'll uncover their journeys, explore the moments that inspire them, and highlight the lasting impact of their commitment to LCCAP's mission.
So whether you're here to learn, be inspired, or simply celebrate the amazing people who make LCCAP what it is, thank you for joining us.
This is LCCAP Legacy, Decades of Dedication.
Let's get started with today's guest.
You're now listening to LCCAP Legacy, Decades of Dedication, and we are back with another episode. For this week, we have a special guest in the studio. We have Holly Fry, and she is the grant specialist here at LCCAP. So, Holly, thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. How are you?
We're well. And of course, before we get into the episode, of course, I have my wonderful co-hosts here with me today, Kim and Amber.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
And I know in particular, Kim was really looking forward to having Holly on the podcast because they are really close and they've worked together for the past, 8 years?
Yes.
So thank you so much for joining us. So take us to the beginning. How did you get started with LCCAP?
I have bounced around in my career from auditing to for-profit organizations, and I was looking to get back into a field where I was a part of an organization that bettered the community. And whenever I saw the advertisement for this position here with Lawrence County, I jumped on it.
And your original position was a grant specialist?
No, my original position was assistant controller. I worked under our controller doing a lot of the fiscal and transactional side of the grants for Early Head Start. And when she left her position back in January of 24, that's when I took over as grants manager.
Nice. And then from there, you just evolved into the grant specialist?
Yes.
Nice.
So how do you measure how successful our grants are that we get?
The biggest thing is we get monitored by the state and by the federal government. Our goals are to have clean audits and to measure our success against what our goals are with the state and federal.
And Holly, what fiscal responsibilities fall under your scope once a grant is awarded?
Once the grant is awarded, usually it opens up a budget window, and I have 2 weeks to prepare the budget, and we have to go in detail with all of the hands that touch the grant, right from the custodians all the way up through the CEO. So
Very, very busy.
everyone does their time and efforts, and they're important. That's how I measure the time that goes into each one of the grants and how to allocate salaries, benefits, rental space, all that kind of stuff goes.
And we have so much because we are so large, so I can imagine how demanding your workday must be.
Just with the early learning grants, I manage 5. So, 5 plus food. So it's a 7 grants.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So what does a day typically look like at work for you?
Well, the first thing you do is you walk in and you put out any fires with your email. Everybody knows that.
Yes.
And then it's really, my day-to-day doesn't look the same. It's my month-to-month that looks the same. I have certain things that have to be done by like the 5th, certain things that have to be done by the 12th, and just various reportings, quarterly reportings, semi-annual reportings. Just a lot of little details.
A lot of numbers, a lot of paperwork.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
A lot of spreadsheets. She's the master at spreadsheets too.
Yeah.
So
Yes, Kim's always calling me, hey, I need help.
I need help, and I definitely do. And she's the one that you want to go to because she'll make sure it's fixed and teach you the way to do it, and that it's correct, and that you know how to do it for the next time. And if you need her again, you just call her again.
And if I don't know, I'm 100% good at saying, I don't know. Let me go find that for you.
That's very true.
And you did mention that you have your hands with touching so many different grants and you're working on so many grants and opportunities for LCAP. So what do you find most rewarding about working in grant writing and development?
Just knowing that what I do trickles down and helps the community. It helps the children. I'm on the early learning grant side. So everything that I do touches the kids. And it helps us create a good base for the community and development.
Mm-hmm. And seeing the kids and how much they learn in our preschool and our early learning. It's just amazing. And they're ready to go off to kindergarten. I mean, we start at 6 weeks of age. So that's up until 5. So it's just amazing all that they learn and grow to learn and the relationships they build with their teachers and their friends. And then they're ready to start their next chapter. And it's all because of the work behind the scenes that you are doing.
And that's one of the things that I really appreciate about what you guys do with the social media and everything, because it helps, connect what I do on the backside with what's going on in the classrooms where it's actually taking place.
A lot of people don't think about the grants and all the back end stuff that goes into the different programs.
Mm-hmm. And I always say, I'm not the meanie here. I'm not the one who's saying you can't have this. It's just, can that money be spent better?
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at the big picture. Do we have it in the grant for this year? If not, we can fix it for next year. Just tell me what we need to do and we can shuffle things around.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have methods of how you work about like dispersing certain like funds here rather than there?
Like I said, a lot of it goes into, we have a program design that's developed by Michelle Ryan, and she tells me where the children are in the classrooms. And then I take and put those numbers, well, this child is under this grant, this child is under this grant. And that's the nice thing. Nobody knows, none of the parents know that their children are being funded by this grant or by that grant because we layer it all.
Mm-hmm.
So that way we get the best quality for our kids.
And if you weren't in grant writing, what career path could you see yourself in?
I always said that I wanted to work in the racing industry because that's my passion in life is dirt track racing. And since I'm never going to be able to retire, I said, whenever I get old, that's what I want to do is I want to go out and work on the road with one of the touring series and manage all of their paperwork and do all that. So I can still travel the country and be a part of what I love and still be able to fund myself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, and to teach the younger drivers, like you teach your son, because you yourself used to race.
Yes, I did. Many moons ago.
So doing something in a whole different way that could bring back, bring good things to the racers.
And that too. I want to continue to see that sport grow, and I just want to leave my mark on the things that I love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, how did you get involved with racing? Because that's not something someone, says on a normal basis. So how did that dream grow?
I was at the races when I was 6 months old. And the only reason it took that long was because I was born in November and they don't start until April. No, my uncle was involved in it. It's just my grandmother's second husband was involved in it. It's been
in your blood. Yeah.
It's been in my family my whole life. And when I turned 16, my dad said, "Hey, do you want to do that?" And I'm like, "Heck yeah, sign me up." So I raced personally for 12 years. And then I met my husband. We used to race against each other.
He was a racer too. Isn't that pretty cool?
Aww.
Yeah. Yep. So my son, he was destined for it. He started when he was 6 years old, and he'll be starting his 11th year racing at the end of this month.
Wow.
So
He's like a professional. He's always winning trophies and coming in first place. And like she said before we started, she just was in Tennessee. Every weekend she is somewhere other than the state of Pennsylvania and Ohio where she lives.
Yeah.
She's always in some state.
Well, it's
Yep.
what you do. You keep your family going and you balance it all.
Yeah.
I work so that I can live.
Yeah, I was just about to say, you work really hard during the week, so it's nice that you can just kind of decompress during the weekend and do what you love.
She sure does. She does. She's very dedicated. There's days where she doesn't even never take a break. She's just constantly going. And she deserves that. Holly, may I ask, what's a memory from your childhood that still sticks with you?
Well, I just told you guys about the one that, left one of the biggest impacts is when we were actually on the way home from my grandfather's funeral. And he used to take my dad to the races all the time. And my dad said, "Is that something you want to do?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And within the next 3 months, we, had the car, we had the trailer. I didn't even have my driver's license yet, but, it's what we did.
Just going back to your career, has there been one project or grant that you've worked on that stands out and has been especially meaningful to you throughout your time here?
I really think it was my first budget that I submitted last year. It was huge. It was huge to be able to get that, through. And it was a big weight lifted off my shoulders of like, okay, I've got this. I can do this. And now I've made it through my second submission of all of my grants. And it was way better this year.
Much smoother.
Yes, I understood what I was doing. Last year, I just kind of fumbled my way forward and worked off of what the previous person had did. This year, I actually understand. And I'm like, oh, okay, I understand what that means this time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then next year, we'll just go even more smooth. And then before you know it, you'll be a pro.
Exactly.
So how do you handle like tight deadlines, or if you have multiple grant applications due at one time? How do you handle that?
I schedule. I am one of those people. Everything's out on a calendar and I have to be able to click it as done. That's what I was just doing before I came down here with you guys. I had my to-do list up and I'm like, okay, this was done on this date. This was done on this date. And that's really the best way to make sure that you don't miss things is keep yourself organized.
Mm-hmm. I have things on my calendar, and then I still am like old school about it too. I have a paper calendar on my desk, and I write everything on there too. So I'm the same way.
Yep, mine's a little notepad. Every day I go in and I check off what I got done and what I need to do still.
Mm-hmm.
And then other than organization skills, what other skills would you say if someone is looking to become like maybe a grant specialist or working with grant writing, what would you say are some skills that they might want to start working on to be in that career?
I really don't have my hands in the writing side of it. That is more of like our early learning directors. They are the ones who put together the words of it all because they know the program itself. Mm-hmm. And then once they get that portion done, then it flows over to me with the budgetary side. And I have to run my monthly reports to make sure everything's balancing. And you just have to be able to dig in and find whenever things don't look right, you have to be able to back up and say, okay, this isn't right. And then put your investigator's hat on and go find where the transaction is wrong. Or, all it takes is transposing a number that can affect a lot of different things.
And you have been with the company for the past 8 years. What have you learned about yourself within the last 8 years being in the different roles within this organization?
You just need to be able to adapt. We've gone through COVID where we worked remote. Well, in the fiscal side, since we didn't have the interaction with the clients, we were totally remote for almost 2 years. That was really tough, especially trying to learn and navigate the new way of doing things. But that's one thing with the whole organization. We grow, we adapt, we change, we pivot, we do what we need to do to get our end results.
And, every guest that joins us on the podcast, I like to ask them because one of the main themes here is legacy. So when you are done with LCAP and you have retired, what are you hoping that your legacy will be here that you leave?
Well, make the community a better place, which, we're continuing to grow the children and give them the different opportunities that hopefully their parents didn't have, and continue to make the community grow better. And with the organization, just whenever you're in finance, everything needs to be repetitive, and you need to be able to replicate what you do every day and every grant year so that we can continue to have our wonderful scores from the federal government and the state. We pride ourselves on having good, clean fiscal reviews.
So we can make our community a better place for everybody.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you for that. We're going to go ahead and wrap up our personal round, and we're going to make our way to our quick fire round. And how that works is Kim and Amber are going to ask you a series of questions, and you're just going to answer those questions with whatever comes to your mind first.
Okay.
So whoever wants to take it away first can go ahead.
So I think I already know the answer to this one, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What do you like to do in your free time? Not that I think you have very much of it, but...
Free time is not something that I have on my calendar. Between, well, like I said, my son, he's 17. So if he says, Mom, I don't even let him get out what the rest of it is. I'm like, yes. Last week, he wanted to go to the movies up in Cleveland after work. So yes, we'll go.
She is a wonderful mom. She's always there for him, and she does so much. And she's it's true. I mean, anything that he wants to do or anywhere that he wants to go, she's like, let's go. We're doing it. And then also, too, besides racing and hanging out with your son and your husband, you're into eating healthy and exercising and just taking care of yourself, too, personally.
Yeah, that's what I try to do on my lunch break every day is to go down to the gym, take advantage of one of our benefits here at LCCAP is we have a gym here at our Grant Street location. I go down and spend that hour on myself. That's the 1 hour a day I get to decompress.
You deserve that.
Mm-hmm. And then may I ask, Holly, who has had the biggest impact on your life and why?
My dad, 100%. He is my rock. If I have a question, I call my dad. Racing, personal, work. If I need to vent, it's my dad. I was all excited 2 weeks ago. I'm from 2 hours away up in Warren, Pennsylvania. And he came down to help my brother. And I'm like, okay, that's it. Booking that day off of work. I get to go give my dad a hug.
Mm-hmm. Did you have lunch together? You said you guys were going to go have lunch.
Yep. We all had lunch. And actually, my dad was affected by COVID. He was in the hospital and they had him on a ventilator and the whole 9 yards. And the day we actually got to have lunch was the 4-year anniversary of him coming off the vent. And
Wow.
so it was a big day.
Yeah, a very special day.
Yeah.
Wow. That's sweet.
So if you could switch jobs with any of your coworkers for one day, who would it be and why?
Kim. Kim, she gets to go out and she's a part of the community. She is the face of LCCAP. She's out there all the time. She's over here rolling her eyes at me, but she is.
She really is. Yes.
She's at all the events, and her attitude and the way that she just brings such joy to everything. I would want to be in her role for a day.
Thank you. You know what? And honestly, like I had a really, really bad weekend this weekend. My dog, after 11 years, his name's Fredo Corleone, he passed. And I had a field trip yesterday, and just being with those kids and the kids that knew him too, it was just so amazing and just so special. And we called ourselves the Fredo Group, and we had a really good time down in Pittsburgh at the Phipps Conservatory, and we went to Shinley Park and just walked around, and just being with those kids just makes all the difference in the whole wide world. So
See?
I do love my job.
Yeah, you are making a difference. Some days you sit there and say, I'm just me. Well,
Yeah.
but you is enough.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
So Kim, do you think you could switch with Holly for a day and do her job?
I always tell her I wish I was as smart as her, so no.
That's too many numbers for me.
She's got to get the spreadsheet
I told her
down.
even past 100, I wouldn't even know what to do. That's why I call her for just the little things that I do. And then if you could go travel to one place, Holly, where would it be?
I'm so repetitive. There's a big race in Knoxville, Iowa in August of every year. It's called the Knoxville Nationals, and it's 6 days of straight racing. So one day I will get there.
I know you will.
And what is one thing on your bucket list that you haven't checked off yet?
I'm so boring. My husband and I, we always said we wanted to go up and down the West Coast and go to some of those dirt tracks out there.
Aw.
You know, we watch them all on TV. Well, since COVID, a lot of them are broadcast now, and that's what I get every year for my birthday or my Christmas present is I get the subscription and I get to watch all those races out on the West Coast.
That's awesome.
That's the gift that keeps on giving all year round.
And if you could describe your time here at LCAP in one word, what would it be?
You have to ask such one,
I know it's hard.
rewarding.
Nice.
Rewarding.
I like that.
Between the people, your coworkers, what we do for the community, it's the people that make this place.
And before we wrap up the episode here, is there anything that you would like to get off your chest or you would like to say?
Not really. I'm a part of the fiscal department, and we are growing and we are changing and we are evolving. So give us time. We will continue to better ourselves over there.
And you guys have already done so much for the community. Like you said, like you're behind the scenes, but you play a major role over there in the physical department. So we appreciate you guys for all that you do and all the hands that you touch and, the community that you outpour to every day.
Thank you.
We couldn't do it without those ladies and gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we really appreciate all the work that you guys do.
Thank you.
Very much so. Thank you, Holly, for coming on.
All right. And that will wrap up episode 21 of LCAP Legacy, Decades of Dedication. And of course, we will be back next week with another special guest. So tune in and to see who it will be.
Have a great week, everyone.
Bye.